These monks have nowhere to court death, and, of all places, they have to do it here. Why didn't our constables arrest them at once and bring them here?" A grand preceptor before the throne stepped forward and said, "The Great Tang in the land of the East is located in the South Jambudvipa continent. It's the great nation of China, some 10,000 miles from here. As the way is infested with monsters and fiends, these monks must have considerable magic powers, or they would not dare undertake this westward journey. I implore your majesty to invite them in and certify their rescript so that they may proceed, for the sake of the fact that they are the distant monks from China, and for the sake of not destroying any goodly affinity." The king gave his consent and summoned the Tang monk and his followers before the Hall of Golden Chimes. After master and disciples arrived before the steps, they presented the rescript to the king. The king opened the document and was about to read it, when the custodian of the Yellow Gate appeared to announce, "The 3 preceptors of state have arrived." The king was so flustered that he put away the rescript hurriedly and left the dragon seat. After having ordered his attendants to set out some embroidered cushions, he bent his body to receive his visitors. When Tripitaka and his followers turned around to look, they saw those 3 great immortals swagger in, followed by a young acolyte with 2 tousled pigtails. Not daring even to lift their eyes, the 2 rows of officials all bowed deeply as they walked by. After they ascended the Hall of Golden Chimes, they did not even bother to salute the king. "State preceptors," said the king, "we have not invited you. How is it that you are pleased to visit us today? We have something to tell you," said one of the old Taoists. "And that's why we're here. Those 4 monks down there, where do they come from?" The king said, "They were sent by the Great Tang in the land of the East to fetch scriptures, and they presented themselves here to have their travel rescript certified." Clapping their hands together, the 3 Taoists burst out laughing and said, "We thought they had fled. So they are still here." Somewhat startled, the king said, "What do you mean, preceptors? When we first heard of their arrival, we wanted to arrest them and send them to serve you, had not our grand preceptor on duty intervened and presented a most reasonable memorial. Since we had regard for the fact that they had traveled a great distance, and since we did not wish to destroy our goodly affinity with China, we summoned them in here to verify their rescript. We did not expect you to raise any question about them. Could it be that they have offended you in some way? Your Majesty wouldn't know about this," said one of the Taoists, chuckling. "Hardly had they arrived yesterday when they slew 2 of our disciples outside the eastern gate. The 500 Buddhist prisoners were all released and the cart was smashed to pieces. As if that weren't enough, they sneaked into our temple last night, vandalized the holy images of the 3 pure ones, and devoured all the imperial offerings. We were fooled by them at first, thinking that the celestial worthies had descended to earth. We therefore even asked them to give us some golden elixir and holy water with which we might present your Majesty, so that you would be blessed with eternal youth. We hardly expected that they would trick us by leaving us their urine. We found out all right, after each of us had tasted a mouthful. Just when we were about to seize them, they managed to escape. We didn't think that they would dare remain here today. As the proverb says, the road for fated enemies is narrow indeed." When the king heard this, he became so irate that he would have had the 4 priests executed at once. Pressing his palms together, the great sage Xing cried out in a loud voice, saying, "Your Majesty, let your thunder-like wrath subside for the moment and permit this monk to present his memorial. You offended the state preceptors," said the king. "Do you dare imply that their words might be erroneous?" Pilgrim said. "He claimed that yesterday we slaughtered 2 of his disciples outside the city. But who could be a witness? Even if we were to confess to this crime, and that would be a gross injustice, only 2 of us need be asked to pay with our lives, and 2 of us should be released so that we might proceed to acquire the scriptures." He claimed further that we wrecked their cart and released their Buddhist prisoners. Again, there is no witness, and moreover, this is hardly a mortal offense, and only one of us should be punished for this if it were true. Finally, he charged us with vandalizing the images of the three pure ones and causing disturbance in their temple. This is clearly a trap they set for us. How could you say that it's a trap? Asked the king. We monks are from the land of the east, said Pilgrim. And we've just arrived in this region. We can't even tell one street from another. How could we know about the affairs of their temple, and at night, no less? If we could leave them our urine, they should have been able to arrest us right then and there. Why did they wait until this morning to accuse us? In this whole wide world, there are countless people who use false identities. How could they know for certain that we are guilty? I beg your majesty to withhold your anger and make a thorough investigation. The king, after all, had always been rather muddle-headed. When he heard this lengthy speech by Pilgrim, he became more confused than ever. Just then, the custodian of the Yellow Gate again came to make this announcement. Your Majesty, there are outside the gate many village elders who await your summons. For what reason? Asked the king. He ordered them brought in, and 30 or 40 village elders came before the hall. Your Majesty, they said as they kowtowed. There has been no rain this year for the entire spring, and we fear that there will be a famine if it remains dry like this through summer. We have come especially to request that one of the Holy Fathers, the preceptors of state, pray for sweet rain that will succor the entire population. The king said, let the village elders withdraw. Rain will be forthcoming. The village elders gave thanks and left. Then the king said, you, priests of the Tang court, why do you think that we honor the Tao and seek to destroy Buddhism? It was because in years past, the monks of this dynasty attempted to pray for rain, and they could not produce even a single drop. It was our good fortune that these preceptors of state descended from heaven and saved us from our bitter affliction. Now all of you have offended the preceptors of state no sooner than you arrived from a great distance, and you should be condemned. We shall pardon you for the moment, however, and ask whether you dare to have a rain-making competition with our preceptors. If your prayers could bring us the rain to assuage the needs of the people, we would pardon you, certify your rescript, and permit you to journey to the west. If you fail in your competition and no rain comes, all of you will be taken to the block and beheaded publicly. With a laugh, Pilgrim said, this little priest has some knowledge of prayers, too. When the king heard this, he at once asked for an altar to be built. Meanwhile, he also gave the command that his carriage be brought out. We want personally to ascend the 5 Phoenix Tower to watch, he said. Many officials followed the carriage up the tower, and the king took his seat. Tripitaka Tang, followed by Pilgrim, Sha Monk, and 8 rules, stood at attention down below, while the 3 Taoists also accompanied the king and took their seats on the tower. In a little while, an official came riding with the report. The altar is ready. Let one of the father preceptors of state ascend it. Bowing with his hands folded before him, the Tiger Strength Immortal took leave of the king and walked down the tower. Sir, said Pilgrim, barring his way. Where are you going? To ascend the altar and pray for rain, said the great immortal. You do have a sense of self-importance, said Pilgrim. Absolutely unwilling to defer to us monks who have come from a great distance. All right. As the proverb says, even a strong dragon is no match for a local worm. But if the master insists on proceeding first, then he must make a statement first before the king. What statement? Asked the great immortal. Pilgrim said, both you and I are supposed to ascend the altar to pray for rain. When it comes, how could anyone tell whether it's your rain or mine? Who could tell whose merit it is? When the king above them heard this, he was secretly pleased and said, the words of this little priest are quite gutsy. When Sha Monk heard this, he said to himself, smiling, you don't know that his stomach's full of gutsiness. He hasn't shown much of it yet. The great immortal said, there's no need for me to make any statement. His Majesty is quite familiar with what I am about to do. He may know it, said Pilgrim. But I am a monk who came from a distant region. I have never met you, and I'm not familiar with what you are about to do. I don't want us to end up accusing each other later, for that wouldn't be good business. We must settle this first before we act." "All right," said the great immortal. "When I ascend the altar, I shall use my ritual tablet as a sign. When I bang it loudly on the table once, wind will come. The second time, clouds will gather. The third time, there will be lightning and thunder. The fourth time, rain will come. And finally the fifth time, rain will stop and clouds will disperse." "Marvelous," said Pilgrim, laughing. "I have never seen this before. Please go. Please go." With great strides, the great immortal walked forward, followed by Tripitaka and the rest. As they approached the altar, they saw that it was a platform about 30 feet tall.